What's up, everyone? It's HockeyStricks here, and today I'm going to be bringing you a different type of video. It's going to be a hypothetical scenario where Mitch Marner gets switched from playing right wing to playing right defense for the Toronto Maple Leafs. If you don't know who Mitch Marner is at this point, he plays right wing for the Toronto Maple Leafs. He shoots right. He's about 6 feet tall. They drafted him in the 2015 NHL entry draft at 4th overall, and he's put up over a point per game in the past 2 seasons, and over his career with the Leafs is almost at a point per game in the league so far. At this point, you're probably thinking, well, that's kind of wild. Let's put Mitch Marner on defense. Who would think of that? Well, I didn't come up with this idea myself. I seen it on Twitter, on Leafs Twitter, from a guy that goes by @that's_offside. And he was quote tweeting an Athletic article which was titled, "Young defensemen are taking the playoffs by storm and changing the position for the better." He quote tweeted it and said, "And sometimes I watch a 5'10" forward, like he does really well when the game's in front of him, but someone was afraid of a short kid on the blue line." Does that remind you of anyone like Mitch Marner? That's what comes to mind for me. He quote tweeted his own tweet by saying, "Quinn Hughes is what happens when Mitch Marner learns gap control. Marner is a defenseman, proceed as such." When I saw this, my mind was blown. Everyone in the responses on Twitter, their mind was blown, saying they want to see this. And when you think about it, Mitch Marner does play a lot like a defenseman. When I think of Mitch Marner, and I watch a lot of Leafs games, I am a Leafs fan. I think of Mitch Marner, he already blocks shots, he plays a penalty kill, he plays that right-handed D-slot on the power play for them to bring it into the zone, and a lot of Mitch Marner's offense in general tends to look the same to me as when like a defenseman would leave the defensive position, go up the perimeter to help out the forwards. And that just blew my mind to think of the fact that Mitch Marner could be a defenseman. Obviously, there would be some issues that come to mind as well. Marner's not too big. Him clearing guys at the front of the net doesn't seem like the best idea to me. Him fighting for the puck in the corners in his own zone doesn't sound that great either. But we're still going to look at what this would be like on an NHL 20 simulation with Marner on defense. After that's offside, realized everyone was like, wow, I really want to see this now. This seems like a crazy idea, but we really want to see it. He felt the need to clarify that he doesn't think this would currently work as is, and that you do need to develop a specific suite of skills to effectively perform some D responsibilities, and he highly doubts that Marner has been afforded the opportunity to develop these in his career thus far. While I agree with this, obviously you can't just throw Marner on defense at the start of an NHL season. We are going to do that exactly in NHL 20. We're just going to change his position from right wing to defense and then throw him on the defense for the Leafs. We're going to simulate the 2019-2020 season, as I don't know how the Leafs roster are going to look in 2020-2021. So captain is still going to be on the team. The roster is going to be the same as the one that just finished the season this year. I'm excited to see how the simulation is going to go, so I'll see you on NHL 20 for the next part of the video. All right, guys, here we are over on NHL 20 for the simulation of Mitch Marner playing defense. So at this point in time, it's September 14th, 2019, which means the Toronto Maple Leafs were kicking it in St. John's, Newfoundland at this point. Let's look at the lines with Mitch Marner switched over to defense before we start the simulation. This is the best I could get the lines set up. I will switch them if it's not going too good, to be honest. I know the simulation is surrounding Mitch Marner on defense, but I don't know if I like the help Matthews is getting here with Marner taken away and Willie put on the first line with Tavares, but this is the best way it could be set up for the chemistry thus far. So as you see, we have Hyman, JT, William Nylander, Kapanen, Matthews, Kerfoot. Because Spezza has better faceoffs, I'm going to put Kerfoot up here on the wing. I like Kerfoot playing on the wing in real life. I think Spezza can handle this third-line center role on the game right now. Andreas Janssen on Spezza's left wing, Mikheyev on his right wing, Kyle Clifford, Malgin, and Pierre Engvall. Then to the more interesting scenario, the defense of the Toronto Maple Leafs is going to be Morgan Rielly, Mitch Marner. I know it's going to be very offensively minded, but that's how it has to work out here for it to make any sense for the D pairs. The way I've looked at it, this is the way I'm going to put it for now. I might try Muzzin with Marner at some point. But then we have Muzzin and Barry, Dermott and Hull. So for now, we have Ceci, Marinson, and Freddie the Goat scratched for the Leafs. And then let's go look at the power play unit. So since Marner's actually a D-man here, no Riley, no Barry on that first power play. So it's going to be the big four, Matthews and Marner on the back end. Then Nylander, Tavares, and Andreas Janssen up front. So the second unit power play sees Riley and Barry both playing defense, Hyman, Kerfoot, and Kapanen up front. And then we'll quickly look at the four-man power plays as well. We got Marner on defense. We just have the big four on this whole first line. And then you can see the second four-man power play. Then the penalty kills as well. Marner is on the second unit penalty kill. The 3-man penalty kill, Marner's not on any of those, but here they are. Here's our 4-on-4 lines as well. They're very similar to the 4-on-4 power play. Here's the 3-man penalty kill. As you can see, Marner's not on any of these lines, but it is nice to see that we have 0 line chemistry, no negatives at all. Let's go look at our 4-on-4 lines. I believe our first 2 4-on-4 lines are basically the same as our 4-on-4 power play, but then the 4-on-4 third line has Jason Spezza, Kapanen, Hole, and Dermott. And then our 3-on-3 lines, you see Marner playing with Tavares, Matthews, Kerfoot, Willie, Riley, and then Spezza, Kapanen, and Muzzin. Matthews and Tavares are extra attacker. Marner might have been in one of those roles, but now that he's a D-man, I'm going to just not leave him there in the extra attacker, and Marner's still in the shootout lineup. So it's finally time to start simming some games. If I do switch the lineup at all, I will show you so you can see the changes throughout the season. Just wanted to quickly show you guys the rules that I'm using for this simulation. So we're using the 3/4 to full sim game style. We're turning off injuries just because I don't want to deal with that. Typical fighting, the penalty sting is typical, the frequency of them called, but we're putting period length on 20 minutes, putting it on superstar just because I'm not playing them anyways to make them more realistic. Also, the sim engine scoring is on high right here, as you can see, which is very important for this because I think it is important to make the scoring as realistic as they are these days in the NHL. Let's get into simming the regular season here now, and hopefully the Leafs and Marner do even better than they did in real life. Here at the end of October, the Leafs aren't doing so hot, but we just did have a big 8-5 win over the Capitals. Maybe Freddie's playing, his typical October self, inconsistently, not doing too great. Another 10-3 win. Let's see how this keeps rolling. 7-4 over the Vegas Golden Knights. Another win. 11-5-3 since I started commentating. 7-4 over the Islanders now. This is a great simulation. I got to keep commentating until it's our win streak's over here. 4-0 against Vegas now after a couple more wins. And the win streak is over. Let's count that win streak up. We had a 13-game win streak there that was halted by the Detroit Red Wings of all teams somehow. Simulate up to that January break that they get in the NHL here now, and I'll get back to you guys with our record at that point. Here we are at that week-long break in January where each team gets some time off. The Leafs have 49 games played, and it looks like we're sitting at first in our division, but let's look at the stats so far for Mitch Marner and the team. As you can see here, we are sitting atop the Atlantic Division with 61 points. The Bruins and Sabres and Panthers are all hot on our trail, though, so hopefully we don't falter in the rest of the season. So it looks like that John Tavares Nylander first line is tearing it up. John Tavares has 66 points in 49 games. Nylander over a point per game. Matthews as well. And then Marner's in fourth for points on the team at 41 and 49 games. Very, very good for a defenseman. I wonder how he's doing overall in the league for all defensemen for points so far. So Marner's pretty high up there in the league for points for a defenseman at this point. You got some big names ahead of him, as you can see. Klingberg, Provorov, Karlsson, Josie, and Ekman-Larsson. And then Marner's right here. He's doing pretty well. I wonder what his plus-minus is sitting at. He's +3, playing 25 minutes per night. Only 4 penalties taken, so that's really good for a defenseman. I bet all these guys ahead of him have taken more penalties. 6 penalty minutes for Klingberg, 22 for Provorov. Karlsson got 0. Okay, so I was wrong about that. 36 for Josie, and then 22 for Ekman-Larsson. So that's a nice little bonus for Marner. He's managing not to take many penalties here, playing defense for us. So this is interesting. Kubelak goes to Vancouver. He's a great scorer in a lot of the simulations on this game, so they must be pushing for the playoffs like they are in real life right now, and that's a pretty nice ad for them. Colorado adds Spurgeon for their playoff push. That's a good trade for Colorado to push into the playoffs, I think. Here we are at the trade deadline, and as you could just see, we've slipped to 3rd overall in the Atlantic Division, but we're not going to make any trades with the team because obviously the roster that the Leafs currently have in this game right now is what they had post-trade deadline. Currently, we have 63 games played, so I'm going to sim right up to the point where there's 70 games played, and I'm going to look at the record and compare it to the end of the real regular season in March when COVID hit and unfortunately shut down the NHL. Here we are sitting with 70 games played, which is the same amount the Leafs managed to squeeze in real life before the season got canceled. In real life, they won 36 games, lost 25, and had 9 OT losses for 81 points. Here in game, they have 40 wins, 23 losses, 7 OT losses for 87 points. So we're at 6 points higher than they were in real life. So in real life, at the 70 games played mark for the Toronto Maple Leafs, Marner had only played 59 games, but he had 67 points. So that's over a point per game. Obviously, here in the simulation, Marner's under a point per game, but he's playing as a defenseman, 55 and 70. He's doing better than Riley. The regular season has ended, and with Marner playing defense for us instead of right wing, we finished with 105 points in 82 games. second in the Atlantic Division, falling just 3 points behind the Boston Bruins. John Tavares manages to finish the season with 107 points in 82 games with 56 goals scored. An absolute monster season for him. Matthews is over a point per game, playing second line center for us. Nylander over a point per game, and then Marner comes in fourth on the team, scoring 66 points in 82 games. Let's see where he placed in the league as a whole. The overall league scoring for defenseman, Marner manages to tie for fourth with 3 other guys. They all had 66 points in 82 games. Marner, Pietrangelo, Doughty, and Carlson. Ekman Larsson, as we saw, fell off. Provorov kept it up, just stayed 1 point ahead of Marner. Carlson 2 points ahead of Marner. Klingberg manages to take that defenseman scoring lead in the NHL for the year. Marner ended up going -3. He ended up getting a couple more penalties, just 8 penalty minutes, 25-14 time on ice per game, 51 assists, 15 goals for that 66 points. Just want to quickly see if John Tavares is going to take home that Rocket Richard trophy. It does look like he will. He beats out Ovechkin by 1 goal for the Rocket. That's a great season for John Tavares. So Mitch Marner obviously had a completely different season than he had in real life. In real life, he was well over a point per game. In this sim, he was well under a point per game, but he was switched to defense. But the important thing for the Leafs, we know they should be making the playoffs. How will they do in the playoffs with Mitch Marner playing defense for them? It's time to see if they actually will get out of that first round matchup. It looks like we're going to play the Panthers. Here we are, game 1 versus the Panthers. We're going to go and simulate it. We're going to simulate the game period by period. A huge first period in the first game for Florida. It's not looking great for us. Maybe Marner on defense is not helping us at all. Let's see how it goes. A bit of a comeback, 6-3. Gonna need a huge period from the boys, and 7-3. Freddie Anderson got pulled early in the game. We're just gonna try and forget this game, move on to the next one. Okay, going into game 2. Hopefully it works out a lot better than that first game for the Leafs, because that was rough. 2-0 after 1 period. Another big period. 5-3 for Florida going into the 3rd period. We're gonna need a huge period from the Leafs, and 6-5 they managed to lose. Riley scores a couple goals there. Marner probably got in on some assists, who knows. In those 2 games played so far, Marner's sitting here with 2 assists. -3 though, so we're actually going to try and switch up the lines a little bit. Marner's gone up 1 overall as well since the sim has started, and after these 2 playoff games, he's sitting there with 2 assists, 0 goals, -3, playing over 24 minutes a night. We're going to leave the defense the same, but we are going to try and switch up the offense, see if that helps. We're going to stack that first line. That makes us not very deep after that, but we got to try and do something because we're getting lit up so far. The Leafs leave the Scotiabank Arena down 2-0 and head to Florida's home arena for game 3. Let's see how game 3 goes. After the first period of game 3, Jake Muzzin manages to score, but the Leafs are down 2-1, and the Leafs are down 3-1 going into the 3rd period. Let's hope for a huge period. Come on. 3-2, the Leafs managed to lose this game. They're down 3-0 in the series, and they've dug themselves a huge hole. So the only change I'm making, I'm putting Hyman and Janssen. I'm switching them. They're both still playing left wing on the power play unit, but Hyman's getting put on that first power play unit, see if that makes a difference. Also in the forward lines, I know John Tavares had an amazing season playing first line center, but we're going to put Matthews up there. Now Janssen's on the left wing. Nylander over here, Kapanen, Spezza, and then Hyman, Kerfoot, Mikheyev, and the 4th line didn't change. The defense also, I'm still not changing it. We haven't got a goal out of Matthews yet. We're down 3-0 in the series, and it's going to be a miracle if they make this comeback. Looks like 1-1 after 1 period. Janssen up there on that line gets a goal. 2-3. The Leafs are losing. That first line's still the one scoring though, so Matthews up there. We're going to need a goal out of him here in this 3rd period if we're going to make it through. A huge 3rd period, and John Tavares scores 2 goals. Nothing from Matthews. The Leafs lose 6-4. So the Leafs managed to get swept 4-0 here in this playoff series. Looks like putting Marner on defense did nothing for them in the playoffs, which kind of makes sense if you think about the way playoff hockey goes. We'll look at the stats here for the team, though. It's just a disappointing finish here for the Leafs. You know, another first-round loss. Looking at the defense stats for that playoff series, only our 3rd pairing of Dermott and Hull managed to go positive in the series. Barry, -2, Riley, -4, Marner, -5, and Muzzin, -3. That's a rough look, and 2 goals out of Riley. 2 assists at a Marner, 5 apples at a Barry, 1 goal at a Muzzin, and then somehow an assist at a Hull, and nothing from Dermott. This simply has to be the worst save percentage I've ever seen in a simulation for a starting goalie on NHL 20. Like, I don't know what we're supposed to do with that. I don't think the switch for Marner being put on defense can do anything about these save percentages right here. .771 with 147 minutes played. You got pulled, your backup had to go in, and then he can't even post a .900, so there's just nothing you can do about that, no matter who's on defense, who's on offense. Honestly, it would have been nice to see a goal at Austin Matthews, though. Under a point per game for Matthews and no goals whatsoever. So obviously that's going to do it for Marner's time on right-hand defense for the 1920 season. We will sim the rest of the playoffs to see if maybe we lost to the eventual Stanley Cup champions and they're just so amazing and that's why we lost. Here we are at at the end of the playoffs, and would you look at that, we did actually lose to the eventual Stanley Cup champions. They must have just absolutely lit it up. Let's go look at their stats overall, and maybe a second consolation prize here. The Toronto Marlies managed to win the Calder Cup, so we got that for going for us. Marner didn't have anything to do with that, but we'll take it. Hey, Detroit fans, have a look at this. Let's look at how the Florida Panthers managed to win that Stanley Cup. We already know they swept us. Then they took out the Bruins 4-2. Then they took out Washington 4-1 in the Eastern Conference Finals. Then they managed to take out the Dallas Stars in 6 games in the Stanley Cup Finals. Let's check out the stats for that team, see if they continued to light it up after they took us out with that sweep. They did indeed continue to light it up. We have Barkov here, 25 points, 21 games. Probably a pretty high up on that Conn Smythe. We'll check the awards after this, though. Dadonov also over a point per game. Haula at a point per game. Huberdeau just under it. Ekblad probably high up on the Conn Smythe voting as well. A big playoffs for Hoffman as well, 16 points and so on. Even Nola Chari probably playing fourth line center, 13 points, 21 games. I guess they just lit it up, and Anderson couldn't handle in our playoff series. Clearly a .771 save percentage or whatever that was. Let's see how Bobrovsky held up for them in this playoff, see if he had a lot to do with it. Not a crazy save percentage, not terrible with the sim engine on high either. He won all 16 games for them, .907 save percentage, 2.89 goals against average. So let's just see how the Florida Panthers players did in the league as a whole throughout the playoffs. Their opponent they had in the finals there had played a couple more games than them, obviously. 26 games versus 25 games, but Sagan, Klingberg, and Pavelski were lighting it up as well. Barkov there with 25 points, 21 games. It'll be interesting to see if one of these players from the Stars snags that Conn Smythe from Barkov or Ekblad. So the Stanley Cup went to the Florida Panthers. As we know, Carolina Hurricanes won the President's Trophy. Into those individual awards. More consolation prizes in this sim. Tavares gets the Art Ross. McKinnon Hart. Provorov gets the Norris. Too bad Marner didn't win that. That would have been very interesting to see. McKinnon gets the Lady Byng. Nykas gets the Calder Memorial Trophy. Conn Smythe goes to Barkov as expected because they did win the playoffs. Vezina goes to Peter Mrazek. That's how they won that President's Trophy apparently. William N. Jennings to Mrazek as well. Bill Masterton to Borowiecki. And the Jack Adams goes to the Carolina head coach. That makes sense because their team's not exactly stacked, and they won that President's Trophy on the back of Mrazek's and some good coaching apparently. Selke goes to O'Reilly, and the Ted Lindsay to Nathan McKinnon. So JT won the Rocket, and then the Marlies also won the Calder Cup. Marner had a pretty good season as a defenseman, top 5 in the league, I think it was, for points and stuff like that. But ultimately, the Leafs still got swept in the first round. They lost another first-round series like they continue to do in real life. If you like this video, make sure to let me know in the comments or by giving it a thumbs up. If you really liked it, give it a thumbs down. If you didn't like it, give me some feedback and let me know what you want to see different if I do more simulation, hypothetical type videos like this. Subscribe if you really like. I appreciate you guys for watching. This has been HockeyStricks.